Now the following is a slide of the Metaverse, virtual worlds, virtual gaming sites. Now we have a few sites listed on the slide, but if you look at the links below, there are 3 links there, and there are so many virtual gaming sites, virtual worlds, that you can actually go in there in those links and they will actually divide them up by categories. Now as we look at the next slide, K0 is a virtual world consulting company, and they do a lot of statistics as far as virtual worlds. So a very trusted company. And if you see here, they report that there's over 1 billion people worldwide registered in the virtual world community. But if you see here on this chart, it actually divides it up into different categories. But they just released the 2011 Virtual World Report, and what they do is they have 4 quarters, and basically they go and do the research and they show you how many people are in virtual worlds. Now the first group, and this report was actually released on March the 4th, 2011. So the first chart 1, is registered virtual worlds for the ages 5 to 10 group. We see the number 1, the standout number, is Tropica with a whopping 144 million registered participants. Again, this is 5 to 10-year-olds, okay? Second number, the second biggest number, is the 34 billion, and that group is the Moshi Monsters. And third place in this category is Barbie Girls with 22 million. Huge numbers here. The next category is the 10 through 15 section, and they also bring in staggering numbers to this virtual world community. First is 94 million Star Dolls. The second is 65 million Neopets. Third is 63 million, and that's Disney's Club Penguin. Then when we look at the 15 to 25-year-old category, you have a huge number that stands out all on its own, really, and that's Habbo Hotel with 200 million, and that's popular with a whole lot of teenagers. So that's 2. And then the second biggest number is 50 million with IMVU. Third is We World, and Doofus. It was a tie for that one. So as we look at the chart here, we have one more category. The last category is our 25 and up group. And the first category here goes to Second Life with 25 million registered participants. And then you have Universe with 7.5 million and eRepublic with 2.1 million. And so we look at the next slide here. This shows you the categories broke down on this specialized chart. Again, total registered accounts. So as I mentioned before, as of 2011, March the 4th, 1.185 billion registered virtual world participants. Virtual worlds, it says here, virtual worlds, is this where real life is headed? It says a registered population of online communities such as Second Life and Blue Mars is greater than that of the US and Europe combined. Today's residents of the simulated universe aren't just socializing, but they're doing big business. So let's take a look at some of these examples. Our first virtual world we're going to look at is the IMVU experience. We just saw this, I just mentioned this a while ago. Now, if you remember back when you had the girls on the television, we had infomercials, and television was flooded with infomercials with girls who was in revealing clothing, and they had the phone, it's a phone chat line, and they were, seducing you, basically encouraging you to call in, and you would pay call a 1-866 number, something like that, and you would pay per minute. Well, this is the computerized version of that. IMVU is considered the world's largest 3D chat world. Its estimated earnings, get this, is over $3 million in revenue per month, with 90 cents per sales on virtual goods sales. Now, we're going to take a look at this, and one of the ads here, as you see, they advertise that it's the best place to meet someone new because it feels so real. And I mean, even when I'm doing research, when I was doing research on this project, because I've been doing this for 6 months now, when I was doing research, I would see, ads, popping up, and the girl is on the guy arms, and fantasy type world. So we're going to take a look at the IMVU highlight video. Okay, so you just watched the IMVU highlight video. Now this video has over 1 million hits on YouTube. So that shows you the popularity of this. Now, as you see in the video, you can basically create an image for yourself however you want to look. So if I want to be blonde, red hair, blue eyes, I just want to change my whole race, I can. You even have people who change their gender, and you're going to see examples of this later as well. And as you notice in the catalog, they have 100,000 different catalog items, accessory, clothes, because they also describe this as a dress-up game. So the thing is this, imagine this, you know, if you have a young girl, a young boy, I mean someone who's dealing with self-esteem problems, I mean this is it for them. I mean this is their way of escape, because they can create themselves however they want to look, and they can pour themselves into this virtual world. And if they have problems with, you know, dating, you know, some girls, they feel like they want to date when they get, you know, a teenager or whatnot, they can find someone in this virtual world however they want them to look. They like tall, dark, and handsome. Hey, it's achievable, and they can find this in the virtual world. So imagine how dangerous this is, because again, you know, now they say for you to be 18 and over, but a lot of these sites, they say, okay, click here if you're 18 and older, and they just click and then they're into the site. So it's not like they're IDing or anything like that. You know, they put it on and they say, and I heard this before on one of the shows, they were saying, well, it's not our responsibility to watch after your child. In which they have a point. I mean, you know, as parents, we need to be the ones that's governing them from this, because what they're doing is they're making money. They're just putting this stuff out there. So if you're not monitoring your child, then hey, you know, they're saying it's not their fault. Now our next virtual gaming site we want to look at is the Sims series. Now The Sims is a life simulation game series started back in 1989 and is still going strong today. Now Sim is short for simulation, simulator, or simulated. Now The Sims is considered the best-selling PC franchise in PC history. It sold more than 125 million copies worldwide as of February 2010, and it has 6 million fans on Facebook. And get this, there's going to be a film released on The Sims in next year, which is going to be 2012, a big film on The Sims. Now the next thing we want to do, we want to look at a couple videos on The Sims series.
You are their creator. You giveth them life and spirit. Unleash them upon the world, and do unto them whatever you want. You giveth them clothes, and you may taketh them away. Maketh them rich, poor, kleptos, pyros, tacky, dapper, rude, and randy. Let there be love. Let there be life. Let there be The Sims 3. Rated T for teen.
Okay, so you just watched the Sims series. Now you noticed two videos. First video, you saw some phrases, fulfilling life's destinies. Again, there was a lot of customization of the avatars and changing their personalities. Whatever personality you want your sim to have, you could be, but again, fulfill whatever your desires are, whatever you want to do with your sim, you can do it. And then we saw in the TV trailer, the second video, we saw words such as let there be love, let there be life. Give your sims life and spirit. Do unto them as you want. So we see biblical comparisons here in the words and the phrases that are being used. But also, like I said, the Sims goes back all the way to 1989. Now, if you go back to Wikipedia, if you kind of search on Sims concerning Wikipedia, you'll see a whole list of Sims series. One of those series is the Sims Making Magic. Now, this particular feature here is an expansion pack, and it gives the Sims the ability to perform magic charms and spells, which works much like cooking recipes from a book. So basically what happens is, you know, they're reading all these scripts, and then they get to perform all these different magical spells. Now, if you notice here, the ages is age 7 and up. So imagine 7-year-olds are getting practice working witchcraft and sorcery. But also here, we notice that there are additional Sim games available. You know, they have the Sims 2 Apartment Life, Sims Medieval. You see all the different game mechanics here. They use witches and warlocks. So look at some of the neighborhood names. Magic Town, Palace of Never Ending Light, Fortress of Eternal Darkness, and the magical objects that are being used. But not only that, Sims just released Sims 3 for the console. So now it's available on the console and on the i4 phone. So now you have Sims on the go. And listen to this description here. It says The Sims 3 is the wildly popular domestic god game that's been available on both Mac and PC since 2009. EA is inserting karma powers into the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 versions, letting you bless and curse your digital creations. So now you can be consuming this stuff 24/7. Kids can be riding in their car playing this stuff. Listen to the wording here. Karma powers, giving you the ability to bless and curse your creations. Because as we saw in the video, do unto them as you want to do. So moving on here, there are other worlds. So again, we want to look at the wording with some of the other virtual world sites, because again, the enemy is trying to collide the virtual world with the real world. He wants to get you lost in this stuff. He wants the people to be engaged. He wants to allow that channeling process to go forth. Now, one of the sites is called the Atropia Universe. Now, this is what their description is described as. It's more than a game. The Atropia Universe is for real people, real activities, and a real cash economy in a massive online universe. Now, get this. They had a 2006 now turnover of 3.6 billion PED dollars. That's $360 million in US funds. Now, each virtual world, we'll get into this a little later, but each virtual world have their own virtual money. They call it, you know, like Second Life is Linden dollars. This is PED dollars. So they all have their different names concerning their virtual money. But it is real money that's being transferred in these virtual worlds.